about to start. So ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, dear sponsors, and dear partners, on behalf of BWCon and BlockLab, I welcome you very warmly to the second Blockchain Hackathon here in Stuttgart. My name is Angela, and I'll be your blockchain presenter, if you want to, throughout the entire program, throughout the entire weekend. So this year's hackathon is a proud part of the Blockchain Stuttgart week. Maybe you have already heard of it, or maybe you've noticed it walking by the stations here in Stuttgart. It's a huge umbrella event combining conferences and combining industry events and meetups with a vision to make Stuttgart a leading global location for blockchain technology, crypto economy, and digital value creation. So for a whole week, Stuttgart is the headquarters of blockchain revolution. And we are right in the middle of it, right in the heart of it. And we have a lot of experts here and a little technical problem, which we are going to solve in a few moments. We have a lot of experts here during the Blockchain Stuttgart week who will discuss the blockchain technology and the potential of this technology for the future. And as we are part of this exciting week, I find it really exciting that this event, this hackathon, is a very international platform. We are welcoming over 200 participants from different countries worldwide. And I would just like to find out where you're coming from. So who of you, probably apart from our speakers and sponsors, had the longest travel distance? Just scream some names at me. Countries, where are you from? So Croatia? Sorry, Argentina. Oh, Argentina. Can anybody has a longer travel? Sorry? Ukraine? Okay. Russia. Oh, nice to have you here. Ukraine as well. Okay, so we have a lot of Ukrainian participants. Any longer distances, further distances? Oh, okay, you lose. So I think the prize goes somewhere to Argentina, Russia. How long did you travel from Russia? How long did you travel from Russia? Oh, okay, so probably Argentina won the prize, right? So thanks for being here. And while we're talking of this, have you already met your seating neighbor? Maybe you just look to the right, look to the left, and introduce yourself if you haven't met yet. Yeah? Okay? Because, I mean, you'll be sitting here for an hour or two, yeah? And you have to feel comfortable. So, together with you, do you have is the technique back on? By the way, I have a beautiful lady on stage. She will support me with the slides. Please give a hand to Valentina. Okay, this already sounds good. I've already had this, but this is now, I think this is running now, right? Okay, perfect. Okay, so jointly with you, we want to create an unforgettable weekend in the name of blockchain. Are you ready for it? Yes. Good, good. So, ladies and gentlemen, as this is a non-profit event, we're really proud to have our sponsors here. Without them, this event would not have taken place. So please give a hand to our sponsors. First of all, our visionary sponsors, the LBBW and Daimler. Thank you. Our gold sponsors, Sutardja and MHP. As well as our silver sponsor, Alcatel-Lucent. And also a great thank you to our media and technology and community partners, as you can see behind the screen. And a special thank you, of course, to our organizers and our supporters. Thank you very much. So the motto of this year's hackathon, you may have already seen and read about it, it's converging the crypto universe into industrial IoT, industrial Internet of Things. So this is referring to the convergence of blockchain technologies with other advanced technologies, such as artificial intelligence, robotics, and of course, the Internet of Things. So together with you, we want to pin Stuttgart and Baden-Württemberg on the world map of blockchain development. So this platform is really exciting, not only for us, but I guess as well for you, because it offers you a lot of opportunities. First of all, you can come up with new ideas and concepts. You can think out of the box, and you can create and develop brand new applications, and of course, you can connect and network with people from all around the world. We've just heard where they all come from. So definitely take a chance and really use the time to speak to other people and to network and to cooperate. So the challenges that we have prepared for you are, of course, one of the most important thing here on the Hackathon 2019 in Stuttgart, and let's take another look at them. So the first challenge is the overall Hackathon challenge, as I just said, converging the crypto universe into industrial IoT. The second challenge, sponsored by Daimler, is our mobility challenge. We will hear more about this further on. And the third challenge is our finance challenge. It is sponsored by the LBBW. So later on, you will get to know all the details about these challenges and all the details about our sponsors and their activities in the field of blockchain. So let's take a look at the schedule of this first day, Friday, here today. So after a short welcome from one of our hosts and organizers, you will experience two outstanding and essential keynotes, which will give you an overview of the blockchain technology development, not only in Europe, but also in the US. At 6:30, you are invited to our networking break in the cafeteria on the ground floor for team building and also already to generate your first ideas. Brainstorm, of course. At 7 p.m., we would like to invite you also to the ground floor, and you will find our idea walls. Those are walls with the brown paper on it, and we have written down our 3 challenges, and there you can already put up post-its with your ideas, okay, with your very first ideas. You will find post-its everywhere on the ground floor, but I'll come back to this later. So at 7:15 sharp, we will meet again here in the aula for the first team building phase. Everybody who wants to can already present his or her very first idea and use this time for team building and, of course, for team member searching. And so really be proactive, as I already said, and try to talk to other people during the break, try to find out what their expertise is and if it matches to yours, and maybe, in the best case, find complementary partners as well. For the prizes, I think this is a very interesting topic for you as well, because of course the whole weekend is about programming and setting up new concepts, and this will be rewarded. So we are proud to announce a total prize money of 15,000 euros. And let's take a look at the prizes, which you can already see behind me. So the first prize is the most visionary concept. It's endowed with 3,000 euros. The second prize would be the best technical implementation, endowed with 3,000 euros as well as the best business model, 3,000 euros on that as well. So then we have 2 prizes for the sponsored Hackathon Challenge, 2,000 euros each. And this is brand new, who has been here for the first hackathon? Who was here for the first hackathon? Okay, almost half of you, I guess, yeah. So this is new, so you haven't experienced this yet. There will be an audience prize endowed with 2,000 euros, and the audience can vote for their favorite concept, okay? So they will have a say in this too. And the winning team of the audience prize will get 2 entrance cards for the Blockchain Future Festival. Is this beer? During the day? Okay, whose beer is this? For the Blockchain Future Festival in Stuttgart on the 21st of February. And all winning teams of all categories will be able to present their projects at the Blockchain campus of the Chamber of Commerce here in Stuttgart on the 19th of February. So that might be exciting too. So the main focus for you, of course, will be forming the right team today and to be as successful as you can. Let's take another look at the procedure and the process. So once you have found your teams, you may start developing your ideas and start working until Sunday midday, okay? So Sunday noon, 12 p.m. will be the final countdown. And if you want to work throughout the night, it's possible, okay? So programming throughout the night is allowed, but of course you don't have to, okay? So just in case, we have set up some fat boys for you on the first floor in our chill-out area. So anytime you feel like you want to have a rest, just check out the chill-out area and do so. Also, as the blood sugar may become an important topic when working long hours, we of course are providing enough catering for you throughout the entire day, so enough food and beverages. The main meals will be handed over in the cafeteria, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner, of course. And throughout the whole time, there'll be enough to eat and enough to drink for you, including coffee and energy drinks powered by Red Bull, by the way. So please, a very important thing, please check in at the aula here every morning at 9 a.m. This is really essential because there will be a lot of information which we'd like to communicate and convey here on the stage, and this might be decisive and interesting for you for the day. So tomorrow at 9 a.m., for example, is very important because we will have our mentors on stage who will explain the whole process of tomorrow's day to you. So, and by Sunday noon, everyone has to finalize their projects and hand them over to the hackathon staff. And as we have 200 registered participants, we will do a little pre-selection. So our jury will already walk around on Sunday morning, 10 a.m., to look around and find out who are the best 20 teams of our participants, okay? So the best 20 teams will then be able to have their final pitch here on stage on Sunday, 2 p.m. So the most visionary ideas will then win the prizes that we have just seen. And as you know, every event that takes place at the moment is live streamed, so social media is really decisive, and the presentation of today and Sunday will be live streamed on our Facebook channel and will be shown later on our YouTube channel as well. You can also follow our live ticketing on Twitter. So if you want to, you can follow us and you can share. You may tweet using the hashtag, which you can see behind me now, which is HackBC19. Okay? And ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot more information I need to give you, but to break this down a bit, I'm now looking forward to the official welcome from one of our hosts and organizers. He's representing BlockLab and BWCon, as well as the special interest group of blockchain. Please give it up for Jochen Kasperger.
Hello, can everybody hear me? So it's very exciting to see this all are full of participants of our hackathon, and especially it's very exciting to see coming this event together after long weeks of preparation and long hours of preparations today to make this all happen. So thank you very much to showing up and welcome. So, it has been said, hold on, we start here, okay. So, it has been said this is the second blockchain hackathon in Stuttgart. This is right, we started this project in 2017 and made the first hackathon happen at February 2018. How many or who was there for the last time, please raise your hand. So that's quite a number, but I see there's a lot of new participants, so that's good. So what do we want to achieve by setting up these hackathons? What our vision is bringing people together who are excited about blockchain technology and have them work on new ideas for a whole weekend in Stuttgart, and hopefully get them connected to each other and make them come back in the next year. And of course we're going to produce very interesting ideas like last time, so I'm very excited to see what each of you come up with during this weekend. So I represent the two organizations who made this event happen today. This, for one, is the special interest group Blockchain and Decentralized Computing of BW-Con, Baden-Württemberg Connected, and on the other hand, BlockLab, which is a group of blockchain enthusiasts in Stuttgart. And our goal is to do all the necessary things, organize events, bring people together in order to grow the blockchain community in this region. So, as it has been presented before, we are part of the Blockchain Week. I want to give a brief introduction of what we can expect in concrete events in this week. We will start with our event tonight, with the Blockchain Hackathon, and then on Tuesday we'll have the fourth blockchain camp at the Ikhlaq Region Stuttgart. This is a one-day speakers event from quite some interesting speakers, and we will have also a discussion at the end of the day. And then after that, following that, will be our Corda meetup. Carsten will be organizing that. This is supposed to be very interesting. He already said we all are very excited to find out what we don't know yet, but it looks like there's some surprise going on there, right? So, and then after Tuesday we'll have a day of rest, and then on Thursday we'll have the first Stuttgart Blockchain Future Festival organized by 0711. It's originally the hip-hop agency, but they are also now in the business of blockchain events. And so if anybody here from you who is interested, just join us there as well. So with that, I'll give one more overview of, by the end of March and the beginning of April, there will be Finanzwoche from the banking community, banking and finance community in Stuttgart, and they're also going to be talking a lot about blockchain. Their motto is Unlocking Blockchain. All detailed information for all these events you can find here. Our main blockchain site in the region of Stuttgart. And so that's about it from my side. And now I wish you a very productive and exciting weekend and a very productive hackathon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks, Jochen. So our schedule is really tight and packed today, and so we're just coming to the very first keynote speech now. Our keynote speaker is the decentralization architect with Uport at ConsenSys, and who haven't heard, anybody who haven't heard of ConsenSys? Who knows ConsenSys as a company? Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay. So just for the other ones, ConsenSys is a global blockchain technology company solving real-world problems, that what you say, real-world problems, with blockchain solutions. And our guest will talk about scaling decentralized identities. I'm really excited to hear about this. Our guest has about 15 minutes, and then we do a Q&A round. So if you have any questions, you may ask them just after the speech, okay? So please welcome Oliver Terbu.
So Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Oliver. I work with ConsenSys on the U-Board team. That's the team that is dealing with decentralized identities. I'm a member of different standardization organizations that specify specifications for decentralized IDs. For those of you who don't know ConsenSys, so ConsenSys is a global venture studio and is working on core products of Ethereum, like Truffle, MetaMask, and so on. Also might have heard about the Pantheon. It's an Ethereum client, and also has solutions for specific applications like decentralized identities. And some of our applications are Gitcoin, for instance. It tries to solve the problem. It aims to monetize open source creation. And it has already 17,000 registered developers on their platform and more than 2,500 completed transactions where developers got actually paid by providing open source code. Kaleido is another application that is incubated by ConsenSys, and it addresses enterprise needs in the blockchain area. Also has more than 1,500 private consortium chains, and it's a strong collaboration with AWS. Many of you might heard about Gnosis. We still have a close collaboration with our ex-ConsenSys folks, call them alumnis. And a more recent example is Sutardja, which is also very successful. They recently raised $8 million US. Their aim is to provide a digital solution for protecting crypto assets. And last but not least, U-Board is a team where I work on, and we are specifically focusing on decentralized identities. And decentralized identities are one of the hotter topics in blockchain at the moment. But let's talk about what is identity today. So today, identity is either locked down in silos or your identity data is scattered across the web. And this has a lot of downsides. First of all, it's not very cost efficient because you have to store the data redundantly. And it also has some serious privacy implications because these identity providers, they are more like your big brother watching you. They can trace and track you down. And you as a user, you heavily rely on them. You have to rely on their business model, you rely on their governance framework, you rely on their availability. And your data is at constant risk. Because you also rely on their security and privacy controls that they implement. And this is just a list of data breaches that happened last year. You can see very popular companies also on this list, like Google and Facebook. And the Marriott is leading this list with 500 million of leaked data records. So how did you get to this dilemma actually? So first of all, we had the identities managed in data silos, as I mentioned earlier. It wasn't really possible to port and exchange this data very easily. And then with the rise of Web 2.0, a new concept of identity management emerged. It was federated identity management. It solved some problems. It made it easier for companies to work with each other, exchanging identity data. But it was very complex. Even with SAML 2.0, it was super complex to manage these identity federations. And it is a rigid framework. Then Facebook, Google, Microsoft all come together and they developed the OAuth and OpenID Connect spec, which address some certain needs in the identity area, but it still had a lot of flaws, like you couldn't easily exchange data between any heterogeneous organizations, and it was also very limiting in terms of you weren't able to share actually a lot of your data, just the data that these organizations were willing to provide. And Now we have a new concept, which is self-sovereign identity, or SSI, and with SSI we try to solve all these different problems, and ultimately SSI should become your universal solution for identities in the future. What is SSI? So the SSI is really about putting the user at the center again, and it really should facilitate the data exchange between all of the people and organizations around you. Your data is no longer a static identifier, it's really a rich set of dynamic data. It's all data that you can collect by interacting with the people around you. So this is what we call self-sovereign identity. It provides a more holistic view, and it also ultimately gives you control back about your data. You can share then, you get control of your data back again, and then you decide who receives the data. And in order to become this reality, we in Newport and also the SSI community believes that it's needed that we have strong standards in place in order to get global acceptance. And we work, and this is already happening. So WS3C, for instance, is already worked on the Decentralized identifier specification, which is a new type of unique identifier. And on top of that, there is the verifiable credential specification, which uses the DAD, is these so-called DADs. And this is the foundation and the core of SSI. On the other hand, we have the Decentralized Identity Foundation and DIF, and it was founded 2017, specifically focusing on decentralized IDs and SSI. It works on concepts in this area, tries to come up with new solutions, and so on. It has, so ConsenSys is one of the founding members, especially Newport, and it has 60 plus members. So what is a DAD actually? Really a DAD is a new type of unique identifier, and the DAD is really easy to understand. It's a DAD resolves to a DAD document, and the DAD document contains on the one hand, cryptographic information that is needed to establish a encrypted channel with your with an identity you are interacting with, and it also allows you to verify signatures that the identity holder provides. It can also contain public claim information if this is needed, or contain service endpoints for specific applications that allow to interact with the identity holder. And these DADs, they could be either anchored on a blockchain or on some type of decentralized ledger or system, could be also IPFS. This is why we call it a decentralized PKI, and specifically blockchain enables this new concept because of blockchain you gain trust, and you no longer have to trust, for instance, certificate authorities in your traditional internet PKI. So this is really similar to what we have nowadays, but without having these intermediaries, the certificate authorities. You can claim your identity by yourself. And in order to resolve a DAD to a DAD document, you can have, you need a specific DAD method, and there is a variety of DAD methods that exist, and they are specific to blockchain, they might be specific to IPFS, and the cool thing about that is that no matter what technology is underneath, they are interoperable with each other. So it will be possible to communicate with someone else that has a DAD anchored or registered on a different blockchain. So Newport uses this DAD, YOLOCOM another one. Sovereign even uses a DAD that is anchored on a Hyperledger Indy implementation of a blockchain. It's a certain permissioned blockchain. And there are also other DADs that exist. For instance, SciTree, and this is a new one, specifically if you have a lot of update operations. So a DAD method is really about how to define these CRUD operations: creation, read, update, delete, revocation of a DAD. And Cypher specifically solves the problem about scalability. It batches DAD operations and anchors these batch files on any type of ledger, and the cryptographic information is stored in IPFS. This is what a UPort DAD looks like. It's essentially a public Ethereum address. How does it work? So I talked about decentralized identifier, and now I talk about verifiable credentials. It's the other standard that W3C invented. So you have an issuer. It could be any type of entity. Let's say it's your university, and it issues a university certificate, and this is in form of a verifiable credential. The issuer sends it to the user, and the credential contains information that allows to associate the credential with the issuer and the user. The user is then in full control of this credential and can present this credential to any type of consumer. It could be LinkedIn, could be someone else, your future employee in this case, and the employee will inspect the presentation and then will be able to verify the possession of the credential, that the user is in possession of it, and that the issuer signed that credential. And this is all achieved using W3C standards. And this is ultimately will enable us to frictionless communicate with our ecosystem again, so I can decide who receives these credentials. What is DIF and W3C working on in the future? So currently we are working on the concept which is called identity hubs or personal hubs. They are specifically for consent management, permission management, and a hub could be associated with one DAD or a multitude of DADs, and all data that goes into this hub will be encrypted, and the communication will be end-to-end encrypted. Yeah. There are certain DAD or certain Ethereum identity standards. So I was talking now earlier about what is W3C, what is the DIF doing in this area. I don't know if you're familiar. Is anyone of you familiar with ERC 725 or 1056 or these Ethereum identity standards? Okay, only a few of you. So I won't go into detail, but essentially in Ethereum we have these ERCs, and we have two competing identity standards. We have 725 in combination with 735, and we have 1056 with 780. And they have some different properties. Essentially, 1056 allows you to create identities instantly without having any Ethereum transaction, and ERC 725 requires a proxy contract that you have to deploy upfront. So it has an impact on usability and on scalability. In Uport, we went through a huge learning curve because we first tried to have these proxy contracts, and we saw, okay, it doesn't really scale at the moment, unfortunately. And so we moved to a different DAD method, which doesn't require any Ethereum transaction in the first place. And the DAD method actually specifies what really is stored on the blockchain. So it could be key management only, it could be the claims, it really depends on the use case. So in Uport's case, we only store information that is needed to do key management. And so SSI is a great concept, but how do we achieve mass adoption in the future? So first of all, I talked about it earlier, it's open standards. We have strong standardization bodies in place, W3C, and we have the Decentralized Identity Foundation. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We shouldn't. We should reuse what is there as much as possible. And then we need scalability. And scalability heavily depends on the DAD method that is used. And in our case, in Newport's case, we use ERC 1056 because there is no transaction needed in the first place. If you have a lot of DAD operations, if you have a lot of owner changes, key changes, revocation, if you want to change the service endpoints, then the site tree DAD method might make sense. Yeah, because Ethereum 2.0 and Serenity is still somewhere in the future, but still you could already have your blockchain solution built on transactions, of course. We saw earlier that, for instance, Kaleido, which focuses on enterprise Ethereum, and I see that many enterprises especially use permissioned or consortium chains. So, and there you won't have any scalability issues at all. And then privacy and security is super important, and don't store any PI on the blockchain. And yeah, and last but not least, the community is one of the most important factors. Without you guys using our platforms, building new applications, we won't be anything. So it's really, really good to have you here. I hope that some of you might take a look at the Newport platform and might use it to come up with new novel applications.
Thank you very much, Oliver Terbu. Are there any questions that may have arisen? Yes, please. No, you can just squeeze.
So on the last slide, you said that you need scalability, security, one point missing, usability.
Yeah.
So, what about the most vital case?
Yeah.
I forget my keys.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That's one of the, that would be the fifth pillar.
What is the case? I lose my keys, my private keys, I lose my identity.
Aha, okay, it was a question. So in which case? So in general, so they are...
I lose my cell phone.
Yeah. So in a community, there are different approaches, and one of them is just rely on a seed phrase, which is apparently not the best solution. But so Newport, we implemented social recovery, or delegated recovery, but it also didn't work out very well. So I think the way to go would be Shami's secret sharing or something like that. In that case, you would need, of course, blockchain transactions or something like that, or specific nodes. I think Parity has an implementation. There are secret store or something is called. And so this is the way to go, to have Shami's secret sharing or multi-part compute. This is, yeah.
Yeah, another question?
That's an interesting question, and of course, so until now, ConsenSys. So we are funded, of course, by ConsenSys, and so everything that we build is open source and open for you guys to play with it. We have ideas to build subscription-based services on top, but this is but the core platform will remain open source, so it will be possible to build a full-fledged identity solution based on Newport. But we might charge enterprises in the future for, let's say, productized versions of issuer services or enterprise-grade key management, something like that.
Thank you very much. Another question? Ah, yes, up there.
No, it's absolutely possible, and this is the way to go. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, that was a short answer.
Okay, you can, I don't know how much time we have.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. Then, yeah, you could just include a new claim in the verifiable credential and that's it.
Thank you. Maybe a very last 1 minute question and answer, including both.
Can we have identity also for machines, IoT, sensors, cars?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's, a DAD could be really for everything. So it could be a legal entity, it could be an individual, a machine, system, whatever. I mean, you could store the key anywhere. So it would be totally fine if you have, for instance, a web server that has a HSM that stores the keys. A car could have a trusted execution environment. It's absolutely possible. Could even connect your national ID, your NPA, to your identity if you want.
Thank you very much. And I think Oliver will stick around a bit. Right. So if you have any further questions, maybe during the network break, you are really welcome to just contact him. So give it up for Oliver Terbu. Thank you very much. So this just directly leads us to our second keynote speaker of this day. He's the founding director and chief scientist at the Sutardja, and this was right, Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology, short, and fortunately there's a short form of it, SCET, in Berkeley, USA. The SCET is a premier institution at UC Berkeley for the study and practice of entrepreneurship and technology innovation. So please give it up for this very interesting speech to Ikhlaq, Sidhu. And just by the way, we have our timekeeper here, dear Ikhlaq. She's Lisa. Okay.
Don't worry, I got it.
She will hold the hour.
All right, I'm actually, so, all right, that works. All right, so actually, first, let me say, I want to give you as much time as possible for you to do your projects and basically start your hackathon. I'm hoping to, if I can even give you a couple minutes back. Let me see if I can do it. You could help me by not asking any questions. Start with that. I was also just surprised to see that I'm not the person farthest away. Wow, Argentina? I thought, okay, San Francisco's pretty far away. But, okay, I'm not even, all right, there's people from really everywhere here. Congratulations to you, first of all, for just being part of this. I'll say, I guess I got to introduce myself a little bit but even before I do that, I'll just say, let's just assume I have some experience with these things and, that we've, seen this type of activity happen in different ways before. This is really a very important thing that you're involved with. I'm happy to see the engagement that you have. What normally happens is that this is where all kinds of ideas happen. This is where you meet people that you might not otherwise know, from before. You get to know people who are very capable. Those early teams turn into other teams. People join, other people leave. That this mixing happens, and a lot of opportunities. Not ones that you even necessarily realize right now. Like even the idea that you come up with now may not necessarily be the one, but this is the beginning of that next thing and that next thing, and all kinds of really great things happen, starting with what you're doing today. So congratulations to you to be involved and to start it. What I'm going to do, I guess let me actually just introduce myself. So I'm Ikhlaq Sidhu. I started that center that was just mentioned earlier, Sutardja Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology. It's been about 14 years since I started it. It's a fairly big center now. We have about 1,700 students per year that take courses, 15 global partners. We teach people at Google, Yahoo, Network Appliances, Samsung, Cisco, all kinds of companies. It's there's a lot that goes on now. What I'll do is just share a few minutes of what I have seen or noticed relating to blockchain. And then if you got a question for me, that's fine. If you don't, that's also fine. We're good either way. So, most important thing is what you're going to do after this. So here's a little bit of perspective. I'll just fill in. Well, okay, let's do it one at a time. So, 2008, certainly there's the Bitcoin paper. What we've seen kind of happen is right from the beginning, there's kind of two camps of people out there in this space. One camp is the utopian view of the world. And it's basically this is a technology that's going to just take down every structure that we have. We're going to replace everything. We don't need governments. We don't need banks. We don't need anybody that has any power because we have this technology. So you got that on one end. And then you've got the other view of the world, the other kind of blockchain view of the world, which is what we really have is like just a thing that you can write to that you can't erase. So just the fact that you can write something and not be able to remove that, well, that has value. It has value in the fact that, it's like going to a wall and writing with a marker and say, I paid my taxes on this date. And just the fact that you can't erase that is value. It's like a very practical version. So let's see what happens between the very utopian view and the practical, well, this is what we can do with it right now. Okay, then what happened? 2014, basically everyone figured out, oh, it's not Bitcoin, it's really blockchain, it's this thing underneath, and everyone discovered supply chain applications. Like for some reason, that became the big topic. Then what happened? Ethereum kind of became, this isn't when it started, but like when everyone kind of realized that something was going on with Ethereum, and smart contracts all of a sudden overtook this idea of the supply chain, what was happening. Then we had the investment craze part of it. So all of the ICOs. I think there's actually things happening more on the security token side now. We'll see how that goes. But basically we had everyone knew about it now because people were putting so much money. A lot of speculation, but so much money going into it. And that kind of gets us to where are we now, which is on one hand, we're looking at what is all the possibility that this can do. There's a lot of promise. And then on the other hand, well, how much of that promise is hype and how much of it is real? And this is all going to get sorted out by you and by many other people in the world. Okay, so what do we see happening? Well, something's definitely happening. All right, it's not, it's definitely not all hype. There's some very real things here. One thing is that and this is not even current, like April 2018, it's more than 6 months, but 35 million, Ethereum addresses. What's the number today? You'll know. It's not to put you on the spot. It's more, I'm sure it's more. Yeah, okay. On the other hand, 17,000 nodes across those 35 million addresses. Where are they? Here's a picture of that. The main pattern I can see here is mostly financial centers. San Francisco's not, but New York, Hong Kong, London, a lot. So you can see a lot of interaction with the financial community, but also tech centers. I think this is Moscow. I don't know what that is. Is it Vancouver? I can't. I'm not sure. Anyway, there's a lot in China too, and there's also a Vancouver-China connection. Anyway, we'll keep going. So developer kits, again, this is about 6 months ago, but 500,000 people have downloaded a Truffle, developer kit. So that means people are building things. So, all right, we see a lot of interest. We see people building things. Usage is the question. Is it getting used also? What are we seeing on usage? Transaction-wise, we're seeing, again, 6 months ago, but, about 1 million transactions per day. Is that a lot or a little, right? Compared to the rest of the financial transactions that go on, it's almost nothing. On the other hand, 1 million transactions a day, it's not nothing. Like, you're seeing something, okay? That part's real. All right. You got to bring up this topic anytime we go into blockchain. Everyone's wondering, can you get all three of these things together? Can you get scalability? Can it be truly distributed? And security? This is like this trade-off that everyone can know that we can get two. It's always this question of whether, if you get all three, then for sure, you've got something. I mean, not just got something, then it wins. All right. Definitely a huge explosion of ICOs. That's fine. It's in every industry. Like I said, now the conversion seems to be more on the secured offerings. This is kind of the summary of kind of what I think has been going on, which is we've seen real companies happen on compliance. We've seen them happen on data security. Everything where you can write some data and prove who wrote it, prove that no one could change it. That part is very real. The supply chain question, I think it's mixed right now, but I think there's definitely opportunity there. You have to tell me the joke, either now or later. Yeah, all right. I got to give you all the views. All right? So, but did you notice that side is in red? Right? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You're okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, so we're definitely seeing what's in the green. We're wondering what's happening in the yellow. And then, are you going to see tokens for service? Okay, that's all the ICO stuff. We'll see. Beyond that, there's replacing the banks. And then beyond that, there's replacing the governments. This is the utopian side of it. Something will happen in the middle. I'm going to leave it to these guys to figure out what actually it is. Before I get off the stage here, I do have to announce one other thing that we've been doing, which is just about a week ago, maybe 10 days or something, we announced Berkeley Blockchain Accelerator. That's within my center and with the partners that we're doing at Berkeley. Why are we doing it? Because there's so many good reasons, but mostly we're looking at all the talent around the world, at Berkeley, in the neighborhood, and broadly, globally. We'd like to find that talent and to give them opportunity, right? We're doing that with 3 groups. There's our center, there's the blockchain student group, and there's the Haas Business School. So all of this is, kind of working together to offer the accelerator. This is a picture of a business school. I'm short on time, so. Okay, and our blockchain student group, this is a huge group. A lot of momentum really came driven by students. I feel like we're almost pushed by them more than anything else. The details of the center, there's an educational activity, just like any other acceleration, and then there's a set of resources. We're raising a $10 million fund for this acceleration. That's not under the university, that's on the side, and we're doing investments through the fund, not the university. The fund will do investments, seed investments of approximately 200K, approximately 200K per team that we're putting in. All right, so that's the situation. If you want to look into it, so hopefully you'll come up with some brilliant idea, and then you'll be ready to join this accelerator. Look at here, you could look at this link on our website. I know that's long. I guess you could take a picture of it. But there's a blockchain accelerator link. You could go to our main center and then find it, either way. But this is like a great chance for me to tell you that we're also doing stuff in this space, and ultimately we're really happy what you're doing, and we hope that we'll see you on our side as well. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ikhlaq. Any questions that may have arisen through the last 15 minutes? No? No questions?
I think they're ready to code.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. One question. Oh no, you were just like, okay.
He's just saying, thank goodness you're done.
Well, due to the time, maybe it's good because you'll be sticking around too, okay? So people can still ask you during the break if there's any.
You know what, Alex, raise your hand. Yeah, so Alec and Susan is right now, we're all from Berkeley here.
Okay.
And Alex is...
I think you need to take the microphone.
And Alex is going to be part of the mentoring group through at least all tomorrow.
Okay.
And he's basically the director of the blockchain lab as well. So we have lots of representation here.
Okay, perfect. So if you have any concerns, any questions, please ask the 2 guys. Thank you very much.
All right.
Big applause to Mr. Sidhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And He traveled all the way from the US to be here with us today. Just for those 10 minutes. So, and then you only get, it was 15 minutes actually. Yes. So are you all still okay energy level-wise? Yeah? Because we still have another 45 minutes to go before we get to our network break. But now is a very important time because we will now actually take a very close look at our challenges and we will meet our sponsors and they will present the challenges in detail and also they will present their activities in the field of blockchain. So this will be really important, especially for you guys to make up what you actually want to be part of and to which topic you want to distribute your concepts and ideas. And I would like to start with our visionary sponsors who will briefly present themselves. Let's start with the first challenge, mobility. And our first guest here is the head of the Department for Finance and Controlling IT Solutions and COC Business Intelligence at Daimler. He has a lot to do. Please welcome Mr. Jonas von Malotki.
So, hi everybody. Also, I was here last year. I'm working for Daimler. I had lots of titles there, as you could see, but I have two special roles as well. One is the role of I'm responsible for blockchain in the technology space for Daimler, and the other one is I'm responsible for the open source strategy that we are doing currently. So, first question is, who of you owns a Daimler? So a Mercedes. I guess it's a truck, is it? No. So what you actually do is you drive the IoT, yeah? Because most of our now new vehicles are heavily enabled, have connectivity, and with our strategy, so CASE, yeah? Connected, electric, shared or services, however you may see it, and autonomous, all those cars we are putting out will be more and more connected, yeah? So it will be always an IoT. So you might ask, Daimler and blockchain, what is it all about? What are you doing with blockchain? So in 2017, we joined Hyperledger. This made kind of a news. Then also in 2017, we worked together with LBBW on our Schuldscheindarlehen. That made kind of news. It's a permissionary node. Yeah? So to get a little bit out of, we wanted to try out really how is blockchain going. Yeah? And then we presented a few cases where we try to, let's say, incentivize green driving via technical speaking cryptocurrency that we provided. Yeah? So the more you drove green, the greener you drove, the longer you drove green, the more coins you would get. This was also an experiment that we did. We presented that last year at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, and it also got some of the traction there. Yeah? But I would agree with you, where is he? With you, the ideas behind that and the questions were always quite interesting. Yeah? So as we first did our permissionary node thing with the LBBW, I got several questions like, why did you do it with a bank? We wanted to get rid of the banks. And, you know, as always, no, it's not like this. Yeah? So we are a company, we still own money or want to earn money in euros. There's no crypto euros, so we need a bank somehow. And so it's also, secondly, it's a very heavily regulated business. Yeah? So you're not just going to run them out. Yeah? It's not like that easy. And third, also, nobody goes to Starbucks and says, come on, barista, step aside. I have my own coffee with me. I will just do it myself because there's a service in it. Yeah? And service will always be prevalent and we need services. Yeah? So there's a reason for banks to exist and there was a lot to learn about that topic. Yeah? So now you may ask, what's the future? Yeah? And again, not on the utopian side, but on the other side, we have a question. So supply chain and logistics. With Daimler, we are at one side a very big taker of logistics. So putting together cars means you have to put a lot of pieces together on the conveyor belt, and it's just in time, you just have it there when you need it, and so on and so on. So that's all logistics and supply chain. You need the right sourcing, therefore you have to bring it to your plant, you have to bring it to the right place at your plant, and you have to bring the car to the next stage where something else is put into that. So supply chain once, but also secondly, we are a big provider of supply chains. Trucks and vans are very important in the supply chain business. So you bring big parts by trucks from A to B, and you bring small parts or the last mile in the cities with the vans. So logistics is very important for us. So for us is the question, what's the yellow part? How can we actually utilize that? And how can we actually make it useful? Also, maybe a side note, as I began being responsible for blockchain, a lot of people came to me and said, we have to do something with blockchain. I was like, okay, what do you want to do? I don't know, but it has to do with blockchain. So needless to say that I've seen a lot of different ideas, and the most interesting ideas were those where I had first a discussion and said, this has nothing to do with blockchain. Absolutely nothing. And then trying to argument against what people were telling me, and then finding out, wait a minute, there might be something in it. There might be, and even a small glimpse of what the idea could go to, and those are the most interesting use cases actually, because that were the times where I learned something. So, needless to say that still we had a lot of use cases that we just sorted out. And we had a lot of ideas as well. And ideas are cheap. What we also need is an implementation for that. And the question, how do you implement something, is always a little bit difficult if you have a lot of different technologies there. Everything could be the right one, and I also got often the question, which kind of technology is the right one? And I wouldn't bet anything on any technology at the moment that this technology will be the prevalent technology for the whole time. So first we have to try it out, and we have to play around with it. And secondly, do you remember my question, who owns a Daimler? Not many people showed. Who drove one? Even Car2Go, for instance. So the thing is, coming here, you needed mobility for. So going from A to B, this is a basic need. And let's figure it. In the future, less people will really own cars. So the question is, how can we enable mobility with the blockchain? What can we get out of that? What is the usefulness behind that? How can we actually go from A to B and be sure that the car is there, or the autonomous driving was there, or we have the right insurance case if something happened. And the third topic here is the question, how do cars interact with the world? Nowadays, that's quite easy. The driver does it. The car itself doesn't do it. But the question is, if we have autonomous cars, and if they drive by themselves, and even without the driver, how do they interact with, for instance, a parking lot? How do they pay the bills? And what's the next step in there? So we want you to have good ideas and good implementations as well. And I'm really happy to be here, and I want to see what's coming out, and it will be a very, very interesting time for me here as well. So thank you all, and happy coding.
Thank you. That was on the point. Thank you very much. So just out of personal interest, who is tending to choose the mobility challenge? You're still thinking about it, right? Okay, so you haven't decided yet. And that's what our network break will be for, to brainstorm and think about this. So just to make up your minds, and so you can really compare, we're getting to the second challenge, our finance challenge. And we're looking forward to hear this challenge and, of course, the activities of our sponsors in this field, from the Head of Department for Finance and Controlling IT Solutions, for the Managing Director. I want you back on stage, please. For the Managing Director and Head of Corporate of the Landesbank Baden-Württemberg, and he's accompanied by a colleague, so please give it up for Joachim Erdle and his colleague Fabian Blumer.
So, thanks. Why are we here, of course, is to let us show from you why we will not be extinguished in, let's say, the next 10 years. And to get that, of course, we need your ideas. And now I'm here, and I think Joachim brought me to show you how it's working in LBW. And to do this first, we want to show you a little clip what we do, and later on Joachim is telling you what we do in blockchain.
Daimler AG issued a promissory note loan together with Landesbank Baden-Württemberg, both via the classic method and in parallel via the innovative blockchain. For the automotive company and the financial service provider, this was more than simply a test. It was an important step towards making the future a reality.
Blockchain technology opens up entirely new possibilities for creating simpler and more efficient processes. New business models are the result. We as a bank want to tap this potential in order to further improve our services to benefit our clients.
The utmost transparency for all parties. The information is separated into blocks of data. Subscription notes and contracts are approved there digitally. Smart contracts automate management of the order book, creation of loan agreements, or checking of payments received.
Well, thanks. What we want to show you in this little clip is, of course, not just our outstanding architecture, but also how it feels to work in the bank and why it's probably a good idea to do our challenge. And of course, to start with, a bank probably sounds boring to the most of you. Of course, we are the fourth largest bank, we have a pretty good capital base and all this stuff, but also what makes us special in this point is that we have the intention to change our business model and the intention to change how we are working at a bank. This maybe shows in our 4 directions of impact we have. These are agility, digitalization, customer focus, and sustainability. And to come from there, you as an employee have the option to play a part in the development of the bank. And as a bank, this starts in flat hierarchies, a high transparency, great team spirit, and challenging environment, of course. And to give you an example from my side, I'm assigned 20% as in the digital think tank, and this gives me a lot of freedom for innovation and other digital products to set them up. And of course, events like this hackathon. And then at last, from my side, I want to tell you about one part from LBW you probably not know. It's the venture capital. It's a part of LBW that provides seed money to startups. So if after this weekend you start one, you can probably think about us to help you.
Thanks, Fabian. The reason why we presented LBBW as we did in the movie is just to demonstrate that a bank might appear boring, conservative, but it doesn't really have to. And we learned before that, not only in the red part of the time schedule, but even a bit earlier, we anticipate at the moment that banks might be disrupted and might lose part of the value chain which they're currently in. And what we want to demonstrate here, we are not afraid. We are here to actively be part of that process, to actively really be part of that change, because we need to. In some areas, and it was already mentioned by Jonas, when we created our promissory loan node use case on blockchain at least 18 months ago, obviously at this time already we've been prepared and we've been very well aware that the technology has a huge potential. Huge potential means really to eliminate the bank from such a process. And you see, we are still here, and we want to be active part of the process. And therefore, it's very important to understand what is the spirit in the bank. And this was a reason why we showed you the movie. I want to make you aware it's really worth also choosing a use case or challenge here which deals with the finance area. Already mentioned by Fabian, digitalization and agility are very important for us as LBBW, but even more important is also being part of an ecosystem. So we did our first use case with Daimler, we added a second one and a third one. We are currently working in various use cases, and what we do in these use cases is we always cooperate with clients, with corporates, and with other financial institutions to make sure that this isn't only a sandboxing exercise. What we are looking for is, we are looking for real cases which allow us really to come up with maybe new ideas, new business cases, and then really enter into a scalable part of that business. And that's probably quite new, and therefore it's important here in Stuttgart. LBBW is located in Stuttgart to support activities like that, and we are very happy, and personally I'm also overwhelmed by the number of participants in this hackathon. So what you see, blockchain is not new to us. We already developed use cases. Daimler was already mentioned. We added a second use case with Telefonica. And also to demonstrate that we are not only talking about disruption, we already did it because we created an own marketplace named that Vision. And this marketplace, in combination with blockchain technology, could lead to a situation where a Schuldscheindarlehen or a promissory loan note could be executed without a bank. And what you need to know, we are market leader in this specific area for years. And we earn a huge amount of money every year, which is very important to LBBW. And what you see is we are prepared to bring our position, market leadership, at risk, and maybe transform also part of the business model from market leadership into innovation leadership. So you see it's really worth discussing with us, coming up with ideas and coming up with use cases in that area, because the environment within LBBW is really prepared to pick it up and maybe bring it into life. And we are currently discussing intensively with legal and regulatory authorities in order to also create an environment which allows for scalability of such developments. And this clearly demonstrates how far we as LBBW are prepared to go. Regarding our challenge, which we phrased very, very broad in this respect, because obviously we are keen on getting ideas from your side. What we are looking for is show us how a bank can use blockchain technology to become an everyday platform within the industry. And what we want to show on this slide here is within the industry does not mean within the finance industry. I mean, we see ourselves as part of a ecosystem, and we are also looking for use cases which obviously deal and interact with other industries. And it does not necessarily mean that we are looking for payment use cases, because obviously payment is an exercise which is basically included in every use case, machine-to-machine communication, payments and all that stuff. I mean, definitely there is payment included, but could also deal with tokenization in a broader sense, could also deal with digital identity, or everything which might help us as LBBW to either be more efficient within our bank or to create new cases together with our clients. So we have a lot of people around here. You will recognize them by wearing the same nice shirt as I do, or even our female colleagues, they have even more nicer green Polish, which perfectly fits to our corporate color here. So whenever you have a question, whenever you ask for or use for searching for guidance, don't be afraid. Talk to our guys. We are today, tomorrow, and also on Sunday around, and there are a lot of opportunities to interact with our colleagues. So, as mentioned, we are looking for great ideas, visionary ideas. We are prepared to bring them into life, and we are more than happy to see very, very cool ideas on Sunday, and then take it forward from them. We have money. We are prepared, we have the environment,
A bank
so
has
everything
money.
which you need. Many thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Adler. Thank you, Fabian. So this bank has enough money for your challenge. It's worth thinking about it. So this now leads us, thank you very much, leads us to our third and last challenge, and this is the overall challenge of the hackathon, and this will be presented by the CEO of our hosting company, BWCon. Please welcome Jürgen Jennert.
Thank you. Hello everybody. Hello everybody. My name is Jürgen, I represent BWCon, and now I have two hats. I'm also part of a project financed by our federal government called Alliance Industry 4.0. This is about helping the manufacturing companies, the smaller manufacturing companies in Baden-Württemberg to guide, to find a path through this process of digital transformation. And before I start a bit going into detail, whenever we have a new technology, you can use the technology at least in two different extremes. One is to use the technology and make the existing value, the products and services smarter, better, but basically you do not significantly change the revenue sharing model. On the other side, you can also use the technology and to disrupt, to destroy the existing value chains. As for example, Mr. Daimler did when he came up with the car. And the result of this is that the horses on the field had to go to the butcher, and the sports horses are still alive, but basically this was also disruption of a market. Yeah? And now we have this kind of technologies, and now we face several of these technologies which have all an influence on the manufacturing companies. 3D printing, 3D printed sensors which become smaller and more powerful towards an IoT, the artificial intelligence, 5G networks which then connect all the sensor data. And for example, in 3D printing, there's a question, let's assume we have in the future only 3D printing. Who will be the manufacturer? The ones who makes the model, or the ones who is operating the printing farms? Or is the one who is making the models also operating the printing farms? And what impact this has for our revenue sharing models? Who is owning what, how much money, and how we protect this? This is one example where we see a kind of convergent process where all these technologies I mentioned will converge, will be used, and what can and how blockchain can contribute to a new ecosystem, either disrupting or the existing one, or making our products and services smarter. Here we are open. So the digital transformation will, of course, form a factory for the future environment, and there will be some game changers. And these technologies have all the potential to be such a game changer. An additional aspect, very important, is the role of data. Very often we say data will be the oil of future industry. So do we still stick on manufacturing products in this area, or do we earn finally by exploiting data and we give the products away for free we have manufactured? Also here, at the end of summing this up, there will be two important questions. If data will be this oil of our future industry, and we might need new value streams, how can blockchain support this, can contribute this to generate a new ecosystem? What kind of fundamentally new revenue streams will be enabled using blockchain? These are two questions I would like to pass to you to stimulate a bit your ideas. And now I wish you two creative days in order to, to give answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Janek. Thank you. Well, that was really quick. You just saved us 5 minutes. Thank you.
They kick me always if this is.
Yeah. We just want to give each of our gold sponsors a 5-minute slot to present themselves, and especially to present their activities when it comes to blockchain. So we start with our first gold sponsor, MHP. And please welcome Dr. Katharina Schubert. She's Manager R&D Transformation. And Mr. Yannick Tjatschutz, he's the Senior Consultant and Blockchain Portfolio Developer for MHP. Please give a hand to them.
Thank you so much. Hello again to every one of you who has been here last year, and hi, nice to meet you, to all of you who is joining this event for the first time. So MHP, Porsche Company, why are we here? And who's standing in front of you? So this is me, obviously. I'm Manager at R&D Transformation, and I'm working in the interface of R&D innovation topics and smart factory, and especially smart factory as a service. So therefore, blockchain is a really relevant technology. We heard it before from our third challenge, and I'm really glad because the focus is on the industrial IoT this year. So, and this is Yannick. He is the blockchain portfolio developer at MHP and is coordinating all the activities we're doing there. So, and who are we? We have 22 years experience in consulting and so on, subsidiary of Porsche, and the more important thing is we are growing and we're creating an ecosystem with other companies, with other startups, and we are now counting 2,800 employees, and we are all willing to do innovative stuff, and therefore we are happy to be a gold sponsor of this hackathon. So we're mainly focused on Germany, but we're spreading our wings, which can also be seen with our international lab in Tel Aviv, which is really a blockchain hotspot. I've been there before, and it's really crazy what's going on there. So, why are we as MHP focusing on blockchain? Because there is a shift in the market, there's a conversion. The trend is a little bit going away from ownership and focusing on service. So there is no longer the need to own a car, but the need for mobility as a service, and also the need for factory and manufacturing as a service. And this is the reason why blockchain is one of our main focus topics. So what we are doing in the field of blockchain, so this is a kind of a portfolio view, and Yannick will say something to our projects.
Yes, so hello also from my side. We see ourselves as supporting or in a supporting role for our customers in get an idea of what actually blockchain is, what are the challenges, what are the benefits. We are also involved in the community, so we not only sponsor, we also host hackathons. We are part of industry associations like the Bitkom, and we are also partnering with other companies, for example, with legal companies, to publish articles about blockchain and GDPR, for example. We're not only focusing on the first phases, we have also some implementations. I will show you two of them. The first one is a case we did with Porsche, where we put an Porsche Panamera on the blockchain. What was the challenge? On the one hand, access to the car is in the centralized way it's done today very unsecure, and on the other hand, the data the car produces can be manipulated. We partnered with Xane, a startup, and we put the Porsche on the blockchain, which allows us to provide temporary access to the car, for example. Another case is an example for the manufacturing or logistics. We are working on, in this case, with a battery, which is put on a blockchain, and we want to address the issue with blockchain and integration into the ERP systems, because most of our customers use SAP, for example, and we want to answer the question, how can we get integrated the blockchain into our SAP systems? In this case, we worked with the SAP platform, blockchain platform, and Hyperledger, which allows us to use S/4HANA in the future, for example. Yeah. What are the challenges of the companies? Not only our study revealed, but also the Bitkom study revealed that companies are struggling with, on the one hand, identifying real use cases, and on the other hand, they have a lack of expertise. So our approach is to really help them in the first phases, but also help them to build prototypes. And why are we here now? On the one hand, we love the open innovation mindset. On the other hand, you will go through 4 phases in just 2 days, and that makes it really, really interesting for us. Of course, you're not alone. We will help you in 2 ways. On the one hand, we have experts in the design thinking, and we have also industry experts, for example, Katarina, which help you to really identify, is this a real pain of the industry? On the other hand, we have our blockchain canvas printed out, which helps you to discuss in the first way which technology fits best, and gives you a first hint about your business model. Because we don't think that blockchain is the solution to everything. We want to really focus on the meaningful blockchain cases, and happy to support you with our team. They will present themselves on Saturday, I think. And if you are interested in joining a really cool company, you may ask Irina, which is on the booth downstairs. So thank you, have fun, and show us how the distributed future of manufacturing mobility will look like.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Schubert and Mr. Schütz, thank you. So we would like to give, last but not least, a second 5-minute slot to our second gold sponsor. So please welcome Carsten Treiber from Targens. He's the Director of Digital Finance.
Thank you very much. So, first of all, thank you very much that you are here, and it's really great to see you here with all these nice pullovers. The first question I would ask you is, do you know Targens? Who knows Targens? Wow, more than I believe. Very good. So, because you definitely should know Targens, because we do all the great things in digitalization. We have a focus on artificial intelligence and on blockchain, for example. We believe in these new technologies, and we do all these new technologies in a lot of different areas. And one of the most important parts about that is about the networks and the ecosystems around that. We believe if you see things like that, that's the easy way. But what does digitalization mean? Yeah. If you're using or you want to do a better process in your company, then it's really easy to use digitalization, but you don't need blockchain for all that kind of things. Blockchain makes sense if there are a lot of different parties involved, and that makes sense if you're digitalizing things outside of that between different parties. And we believe that blockchain will revolutionize all these things so that you have a really end-to-end process, and for that we believe in these ecosystems. But we do not only believe in this kind of ecosystems on a technical level, we also believe in the ecosystem and in the network between real people. So this is the reason why we are here, why we believe that a hackathon like that and the combining or the connection between all the participants here will be the next level, because we know each other, we can fulfill requirements for the future together and find great ideas together. And that's the reason why we are here, and hopefully you figure out the really great ideas. We will be here for the whole weekend, and if you want to know more about Targens, so let's meet downstairs, and hopefully you will win one of the challenges this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carsten. Thank you. Thanks. You saved us another 2 minutes. Thank you very much. And as Carsten Treiber has just said, you will find all the sponsors and their colleagues on the ground floor. They all have their own sponsor stand. So if you want to visit them during the network break that we will soon have, or during any other time, you're really welcome to say hello and talk to them. So now is the time. We're really getting to the most exciting and probably most challenging time of this day, because it will now be our little network break. We will serve dinner, of course, while you're in that break. You will have the chance to meet new people, to really talk to each other, to probably find a few team members already, to generate ideas, to decide upon which challenge you want to go with. And very important, you will find post-its, as I already mentioned before, everywhere on the ground floor. On these post-its, you're supposed to write down 1 or 2 keywords, but not really like a final concept or anything. Just 1 or 2 keywords with your first idea and your expertise, probably. Then, as I already said, you will find our idea walls. Okay, so they're really big walls. You will find the topics written down on them, and then you can just tag on your post-its underneath the topic that you want to choose. And you will find those walls everywhere on the ground floor, between the cafeteria and this area where you find the sponsor stands. But you will definitely see that. Each of you has received a name tag. If you just want to have a look, you will find a colored dot on this name tag. So this dot actually represents your expertise. So take a very good look at the expertise from other people. So maybe you can find complementary partners. So this was the reason why we did this. So please be ready, and now I have to just take a look. Are we still sticking to our original schedule? Okay. Please tag on your post-its onto our walls at 7 p.m. So by 7 p.m., everything should be up there. We're a bit late, so I know it's kind of a tight schedule. And please be back here at 7:15. So between 7 and 7:15, you'll have enough time to explore the other ideas on the idea walls to, just get a feeling of what is happening here. So just one last thing. 7:30? I think it's a good idea. So little change, just not to stress you so much. Please put up the post-its by 7:15. Okay, put up the post-its on the wall by 7:15 and be back in the order at 7:30. Okay, so be back here at 7:30. But before you leave, just one more logistic thing. You all have received an invitation to the Blockchain Hackathon Slack channel. This is our chat system, our communication system. We will use this channel for important information throughout the weekend. You can already start using the channel for team building as well. Under the channel hashtag team building, you can find team members and already exchange your first ideas. And under the channel hashtag I need help, you can get support from our mentors anytime if you have a question or if you have or encounter some problems. The rooms for the teamworks will be located on this floor and on the first floor. Once you have found your team, the mentors will assign a room to you. So it's nothing you have to do. The mentors will be there to show you which will be your room. Also, as I said, there's a chill out area on the first floor. So, you know, to rest a bit, we have our fat boys there. And as I mentioned, you will get food and beverage throughout the entire time. So don't worry, there'll be enough to drink and enough to eat. The main meal will always be served in the cafeteria. As I said, the dinner will be served in the cafeteria now as well. So in case you want to experiment and be creative, we provide hardware for you that you can use for your projects. For example, the Raspberry Pi and sensors. And you will find that at the equipment rental point, also on the ground floor. So the equipment rental point if you need some hardware for your projects. The final presentation will take place here, of course, in the aula. On the ground floor building, you will find the stands of the sponsors, also very important if you want to gather some more information. This was everything. Did you actually save all my information now? It was a lot, and I said till 7:30, so you have like 50 minutes now. And I now start the starting signal for your networking break. Use it, get connected, get some ideas, generate new concepts and ideas. But this is just like a first shot, and we'll see each other back here at 7:30. Thank you very much for your attention.